Have you ever wondered where vanilla, the familiar flavoring in ice cream, cookies, and cakes, actually comes from? Probably not, and that's exactly why today you're about to witness an incredible journey. Vanilla isn't just a flavoring. It's the second most expensive spice in the world, right after saffron. It finds its way into countless desserts, candies, and even plays a secret role as an ingredient in Coca-Cola's recipe. In recent years, the price of natural vanilla has skyrocketed, at times even more expensive than silver by weight, reaching as high as $500 per kilogram. Behind that price is painstaking, labor-intensive work. Farmers must hand-pollinate up to 40 million orchid blossoms. Only when pollination is successful do vanilla pods begin to grow, each filled with thousands of tiny seeds, the very essence of its signature flavor. So, what transforms a tiny seed into one of the world's most treasured and expensive spices? Let's uncover the magical journey of vanilla. About 80% of the world's vanilla supply is grown in the northeast region of Madagascar, where the climate is considered perfect for this crop. With its sweet, rich, and alluring aroma, vanilla has given Madagascar such fame that people often call it the island that perfumes the world. In the lush tropical forests, vanilla is still cultivated and cared for by hand, using delicate techniques passed down through generations. The stable, hot, humid climate and abundant tropical rains make the land incredibly fertile, nurturing the exceptional flavor and quality of Madagascar vanilla, widely regarded by chefs and food producers as the finest in the world. However, vanilla is the only orchid that bears fruit, and to do so, it must be pollinated entirely by hand. This process is painstaking and labor-intensive. If you've ever tried growing orchids at home, you know how challenging they are to care for. Imagine tending them in the middle of Madagascar's rainforests. A single major storm can wipe out an entire harvest, sending global vanilla prices into wild swings. The production of vanilla is a long journey, taking up to 11 months before this precious spice can be exported worldwide. On average, each vanilla plant yields only about 4 to 8 pounds of green pods, and harvesting takes place just once a year. Farmers must carefully monitor every stage to avoid missing the brief window for pollination. Since vanilla flowers bloom only in the morning and require a very specific pollination technique, growers must pay close attention to ensure they don't miss this fleeting opportunity. When the French brought vanilla vines to Madagascar in the 16th century, they failed to bear fruit for hundreds of years. This mystery was finally solved in the 1850s thanks to the invention of a young enslaved man named Edmond Albius. Using a small stick, much like a toothpick, he devised a hand-pollination method, gently lifting the thin membrane that separates the pollen-bearing male part from the female part of the flower, then pressing them together. With this simple yet ingenious technique, the vanilla flower could finally be pollinated successfully. Amazingly, nearly 2 centuries later, Edmond Albius's method is still considered the only effective way to produce vanilla pods. The pollination season begins in September and lasts until December. Farmers use a small stick or needle to lift the thin membrane inside the flower, separating the male and female parts so the pollen can fertilize the ovule. The technique requires lifting one part and pressing it down, but with just the right amount of force, not too hard, not too soft. If pressed too lightly, the flower resets to its original state. If pressed too hard, the flower may break and pollination fails, causing it to drop. During heavy rains, flowers absorb too much water and must be discarded, since they would fall off naturally anyway. Even though a vanilla vine produces many branches and flowers, farmers cannot pollinate all of them. Instead, they select only a few flowers to ensure the quality and proper development of the vanilla pods. For the best results, no more than 10 flowers per vine should be pollinated. This way, the pods grow larger, meatier, and healthier. If every flower were pollinated, the vine would weaken, become susceptible to disease, and eventually wither. The rule is simple. Choose 10 and leave the rest for another time. Each grower and their team must repeat this process hundreds of times per day on every vine. On average, one person pollinates around 500 flowers daily. In Madagascar, this adds up to roughly 40 million vanilla orchids pollinated each season, every single one by hand. Pollination can only be done in the morning while the flowers are open, because by noon they wilt and lose the ability to be fertilized. Farmers usually rise at dawn to begin the delicate work, making sure to finish before midday. Only then will the vanilla pods begin to form. Inside each pod are the seeds and aromatic oils that flavor some of the world's most beloved desserts. From there, it's a 9-month wait, like carrying a baby. The work isn't particularly complicated, but it demands time, patience, and skill. After pollination, farmers must continue careful maintenance, such as weeding every 3 months. The frequency depends on how tall and fast the weeds grow, which varies with the soil conditions in each vanilla field. Just imagine, Madagascar has around 40 million vanilla orchid flowers. In terms of labor, that makes vanilla one of the most expensive crops in the world. After pollination, the flower quickly withers, giving way to a slender green capsule that begins to grow, the vanilla pod. Over the next 8 to 9 months, the pod slowly matures, reaching a length of 5 to 9 inches. At this stage, the outer skin remains a deep green and gives off no fragrance, since the aromatic compounds have yet to develop. For the pods to grow evenly, the vine requires warm temperatures, stable humidity, and just the right amount of shade. But this fragility comes with enormous value. Over the past decade, vanilla prices have skyrocketed due to rising global demand and repeated harvests devastated by tropical storms. In 2018, prices nearly hit $600 per kilogram, higher than silver. Prices later dropped to around $250 but have since hovered near $400. To control volatility, the Madagascar government even set a price floor of $250 per kilogram. Such lucrative prices, however, bring another problem: rampant theft. Farmers must guard their fields day and night, with many forced to carry makeshift weapons as they patrol in the darkness. At one point, authorities estimated that up to 8% of the annual crop was stolen. Some farmers harvest pods early before they fully ripen to avoid losing everything, but this reduces quality and drives prices down. Worse still, since vanilla has only one harvest per year, many thieves are in fact impoverished local children. Countless minors have been imprisoned in overcrowded, unsanitary jails, enduring years of detention without ever facing a trial. After about 9 months, the pods are ready to harvest. When they become overripe, the tip near the stem begins to split, a clear sign of peak maturity. Harvesters must act quickly and cannot wait too long. On the other hand, if the pods are picked too early, they are more likely to mold or ferment during curing, and their flavor and vanillin content will be reduced. The best time to harvest is after 8 to 9 months, when the pods are richest in aroma and essential oils. Farmers must watch closely. When the tip of the green vanilla pod starts turning yellow and small black specks appear along the body, it's time to harvest. For the crop to be considered market-ready, pods must measure between 6 and 10 inches in length. The vanillin content is also crucial, typically ranging from 1.5% to 2.5%. Because not all flowers bloom at the same time, the pods do not ripen uniformly. Ideally, each pod should be picked individually at the right stage to ensure the best quality. If left too long, the pods split open, lowering their value. In reality, however, most farmers are forced to harvest everything at once to prevent theft. After harvesting, the precious pods are placed into woven baskets or sacks weighing about 40 pounds. Freshly picked vanilla is then carried back to the village, slung over shoulders, balanced on heads, or transported along narrow trails and dugout canoes. The vanilla pods are brought together at a central market, where they are sorted by quality according to size. Pods with a good shape and packed with seeds are considered premium quality. The seeds themselves are often referred to as the caviar of vanilla, a mark of high grade. However, since the pods do not ripen all at once, sorting requires significant manual labor using traditional methods. Each grade is sold at a different price. At these gathering points, security is also ensured by armed forces to keep the area safe. Locally, vanilla sells for about $60 per kilogram, while in the United States, it can reach up to $500 per kilogram. Growers and buyers negotiate until they agree on a final price. Once the green vanilla market closes, all the pods are packed into sacks and transported to processing plants. There, they undergo the curing process that transforms them into the dark brown beans we all recognize. These facilities produce more than 30 tons of vanilla each year, all of it high quality and fully ripened on the vine. When the sacks of vanilla arrive at the processing plant, they must first pass through strict security controls. The entire facility is surrounded by barbed wire fencing, monitored by 24/7 surveillance cameras, and guarded by a security team on constant watch. First, the freshly harvested vanilla pods are thoroughly washed with water. This simple yet crucial step removes dirt, sand, and other impurities from their surface. Sorting is a continuous task throughout vanilla processing. The first round takes place before blanching, while the pods are still green, based on their length, ripeness, and whether the skin has begun to split. Freshly harvested vanilla pods are initially very stiff and brittle. To make them pliable, they must be blanched in hot water. This step softens the pods, halts further growth, and triggers the chemical reactions that create aroma compounds, most importantly vanillin, which makes up about 90% of vanilla's signature flavor. To do this, the sorted pods are placed into large wicker baskets, each holding around 55 to 66 pounds, then submerged in 149 degrees Fahrenheit water for 3 minutes. After blanching, the pods move into the sweating stage, where they begin turning dark brown. This process reduces moisture, concentrates flavor, and allows vanilla's sweet fragrance to develop. Still warm, the pods are placed into wooden boxes lined with layers of blankets to retain heat for as long as possible. The boxes are sealed for 48 hours. By the end of this sweating stage, the pods have turned a deep brown and are ready for drying. Drying vanilla takes place in 2 phases, sun drying and shade drying. This step is crucial for the pods to develop their full aroma and color. The beans are spread evenly over cloth and laid in the sun for 3 to 5 hours a day for many consecutive days, and are frequently turned to ensure even drying. As they are handled, skilled workers gently massage the pods to release oils and enhance fragrance. However, they cannot be left in the sun all day, as the pods must retain some moisture to allow the flavor to continue developing. After sun drying, the vanilla is covered and stored overnight, then laid out again the next day. After about 10 to 15 days of sun exposure, the pods move on to shade drying in a ventilated environment, lasting 1 to 2 months. Throughout this time, the beans are frequently turned and sorted. The slow drying process allows the pods to gradually lose moisture, fully develop their complex flavor, and prevents mold from forming. The refining stage is the final step in vanilla processing. Before the pods can be graded, ranked, and prepared for export, they must first be refined. The beans are placed into wooden chests lined with parchment paper, or better yet, wax paper, which protects them from outside air, prevents mold, and preserves their fragrance. This process not only enhances the beans' aroma and color, but also increases their vanillin content. The final grading takes place after refining, based on size, moisture, flexibility, color, quality, and whether the pods have split. Once sorted, the vanilla beans are bundled into small bunches, tied with raffia string, and packed into wooden crates or cardboard boxes for export. Out of all the cured vanilla beans, only about 20 to 30% of the highest quality pods are selected to be refined into convenient bottled vanilla extract. The process begins with grinding. The beans are cut into small pieces about 1.5 centimeters long. This increases surface area, exposing more of the bean so the solvent can penetrate and extract maximum flavor. Next, the vanilla is placed into a central extraction system. Here, the company uses a cold extraction method carried out at room temperature. Over the course of 3 to 5 weeks, water and alcohol are continuously circulated through the vanilla pieces. The alcohol draws out the essential oils and aromatic compounds, preserving the complex natural bouquet that faster heat-based methods often destroy. The result is a premium extract with a deep, nuanced flavor. Once extraction is complete, the mixture is passed through filters to remove bean particles, then transferred into large stainless steel tanks. At this stage, technicians adjust the alcohol-to-water ratio, typically standardized at around 35% alcohol. This is followed by a stabilization period lasting several weeks, or even months, allowing the flavors to fully meld and softening the sharp, boozy notes. When the extract meets quality standards, it is pumped through a sterile bottling line. Dark glass bottles are used to protect the extract from light, which can alter flavor, while tightly sealed caps or tamper-proof closures ensure the product maintains its rich quality for years without spoiling. But remember, at least 95% of products labeled vanilla on the market don't involve farmers at all, and in fact, contain no real vanilla. Synthetic vanilla can be produced in a lab at just 1/30 of the cost. It's made from vanillin, a chemical extracted from wood, that only replicates one out of more than 250 natural flavor compounds found in true vanilla. As a result, its taste is narrower and far less complex than the real thing. So next time you hear someone use vanilla as a synonym for bland, keep in mind that authentic vanilla is anything but ordinary. In processing plants, every single bean goes through a painstaking journey to become a premium flavoring, delivering a sweet, captivating aroma that nothing else can match. That essence is what gives vanilla its true value, a richness that fake vanilla products only diminish but can never equal.